You want to know something that grinds my gears?
Sure.
I heard a song on the radio earlier.
Where were you listening to the radio?
I always listen to podcasts at work and stuff, or just my music on my phone. But I fucking shitty work truck. I have an adapter.
Yeah.
It's not Bluetooth. Well, it's a Bluetooth adapter, but I can't connect directly to the truck. But it gets hot and stuff. So after lunch, I just unplug the thing, and then the shitty radio's on. But regardless of that, that's neither here nor there. I don't know what song it was, but I was listening to it, just some generic pop song, and they missed an obvious rhyme, and it really bugged me.
Ooh.
I don't even remember what it was, but it was just one of those things I was thinking, I hate when songs do that. You ever catch that? It's like, I woke up on the floor, I felt a breeze, got up and shut the window.
Yeah,
You're
like,
no.
what?
There was a pounding in my head, so I went and lied down on the couch.
On the sofa.
It's like, stop. It's bed. You're saying bed. I hate when that happens. It's just like, ugh.
I mean, yeah, especially when it's like set up
To be
that
the rhyme.
rhyme. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, did you do that on purpose, or are you just fucking stupid?
That's hard to tell with these kids nowadays what they try to do. They might not even realize it.
They don't know what rhyming is. I don't know what made me think of that. But anyway, I have a more important question for you.
Oh, okay.
If you had to pick between the power set of these two fictitious superhero type characters,
Oh, God.
which one are you going with?
Okay.
Goku
All right.
or Ultimate Superman? Like the Superman that's the tops.
Oh, like that can like move planets.
Yeah,
And,
top
and-
Superman.
yeah.
Like the most ridiculous, overwritten Superman.
Oh.
I'll answer first. if you don't mind.
I want to go with Goku. Like that's where I want to go. But I'm trying to compare the
Scale.
fairly, and I don't know. But I'm always a Goku will beat Superman kind of guy if they ever fought.
Martial arts for one.
Yeah,
You get that regardless.
well, like that's what I always said. Like Goku's always training.
Yeah.
You don't ever really see Superman working on working to get stronger, working to get faster.
He's a shit fighter.
Yeah, I mean, he did get his ass handed to him by Muhammad Ali.
Well, that's a real superhero.
Right.
So, here's my caveat. If you're Goku, you can be Goku anywhere.
Yeah.
If you're Superman, you can only be Superman in places with certain suns.
Yeah. With the red sun, red suns.
Well, ours
Yellow-
is
yellow.
not a red sun.
Yeah,
so
yellow
no.
sun.
It'd be a yellow sun.
Sun.
And the pink sun makes them gay, which I thought was a weird comic. That's not me making up a joke for Yuck Yucks. That was a real comic.
Yeah, that's an oldie.
A gay Superman. It's like, is he still Superman, but he's just super gay or what?
And that's the thing with like power, like Superman's power that I always get. Like, so it's like, he has his adventures off world when he's not by Earth or anything. Like, it's like, so like, how long of a charge does he have?
Yeah.
I would think decently long since he spent his whole life on Earth. But again, I don't know. I guess that's up to the writer's discretion.
So everyone on Krypton's just like a normal human, basically,
Until they get to a yellow sun.
That's weird, because then I'm sure somebody's already done it or thought about writing a comic where like the Earth gets moved somehow to somewhere that has a sun that sun does to what Superman,
Right.
like the sun does to Superman, it does to us humans. That'd be weird. That'd be an awful world.
Yeah.
Where everybody's just a Superman. I would hate that. Yeah, but I think I'm still going Goku, because one, you got energy blast, you could teleport.
Mhm.
I guess you don't have laser eyes, but I never felt the laser eyes were that cool.
Though, I mean, I don't think we've ever seen Goku do it, but we've seen it in the series, is that you got the mouth blast.
Yeah, you can do the mouth blast, which seems inefficient.
Yeah.
See, but you get the finger point blast, which is probably better than the laser anyway. But Superman can do brain surgery with the laser. I don't think there is proficient with the laser blast coming out of the fingers, the energy blast.
Probably not, no.
I think no matter which way you cut it, even like Vegeta or one of the lesser heroes might be on par with the Superman, like a Brawly.
Yeah. Well, I've seen videos and stuff, just people talking about like Krillin versus other universe, like other
Just fucks them up.
even in like other manga and anime, series and stuff like that. Be like, you can take like Krillin, from Dragon Ball and just mollywop everybody within just because of how overpowered the DBZ characters are.
Well, what's Superman gonna do with an Ultra Instinct Goku? Because it doesn't matter how fast Superman is, or even a Flash for that, for that matter, because Goku is not even thinking.
Yeah, well, especially once he gets into the Ultra Instinct, like the,
That's what I'm saying,
the newer stuff. Yeah, it's I think it would be very tricky. I mean, the only thing I think that would save them is that Goku would be able to tell, like, oh, they're decent people, like they're they're not bad guys. Like that would be the only thing that would give him a saving grace, I think.
Now Superman would have the strength advantage, I'd imagine. If he caught Goku, he could probably just rip him in half. Because Goku, while is obviously astronomically strong, I still think Superman gets the edge on that.
You think? Yeah.
I mean, I haven't read some of the more ridiculous Superman comics where he's like fucking lifting planets and shit. But
yeah.
I think just like strength-wise, Superman gets it. But yeah, I think Goku's just cooler.
Yeah.
He got cooler hair. So that was our stupid debate. Now 7
minutes.
7 minutes. What's our episode? We are going to be talking about comic book scripts.
Yep.
So I brought this topic up.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with comic book scripts, but I can't say script. How many times am I going to fuck that up today? Say script.
Script.
Say it till it has no meaning.
That is weird when you do that with words. Sometimes I'll just do that at work when I'm bored.
Just say words even though somebody thinks you're crazy. All right. Well, after these introduction musicals. Something. I watched Amadeus the other day.
Yeah.
You ever see that movie?
I don't think so.
1984, I believe. I never wanted to watch it. What am I talking about? But it's like it won Oscars and all kinds of stuff. But I like the actors in it, and I always just wanted to watch it for the fact that it's like, I don't know, Mozart farting on stuff. So it was all right. I got the director's cut. It was too long.
What director's cut? I mean,
lots of classical music, but it elevated me. So I'm thinking. You are listening to the Drunken Pen Writing Podcast, mother. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Shut your mouth.
It's been a while since I had an animated, introduction.
Yeah.
Oh, powered up. And I wasted it all. Now I got no energy for the rest of the episode. Spencer, take over.
I'd say as long as you're not laying down and sleeping like you do in some other podcasts that you're on, I think we should be fine.
You see that in the YouTube videos?
I only see them in the on the thing, like the reels and stuff that you guys put out. Because I don't watch them on the YouTube. I just download and listen to it.
Well, the problem is we record the arcade cafes on Wednesdays right after work. And Wednesdays are always my hard day, and I'm always fucking exhausted, especially since we had a heat wave. So I just I'm actually falling asleep. Regardless of the topic, I'm just like, oh, yuck, here's a joke. And then, anyway, I'm your host, Caleb James. With me today, Spencer, the Lancaster Lead Liquor Church. I'm going to make you into liquor of other things that start with L.
Oh.
Many of those things are good.
Yeah. Yeah, but you wouldn't pick any of the good ones.
But since we're talking about superhero stuff, lead. That's how you get your superpower. You lick lead. Now, guess what?
And Superman can't see me now.
No, but actually what it did was it just gave you a brain deficiency. You're a little slow now because you're licking all that lead.
But my iron's good.
Yeah, I don't think that's how that works, champ. I think iron's a different kind of metal.
You just chew on metal. That's how you get the iron in your blood up, right? You just chew on metals.
Maybe you should drink some mercury too. That'll get you Wolverine bones. Today we are talking about. There was actually many articles on this, but I found one by Boards.
Boards.
Boords.
I think they would have been able to find the website.
They would have been something different. That's not how I would spell boards. Writing a comic book script. 101 expert storytelling tips. That's way too many tips.
Yeah, we're not going to probably do all those.
This was just the only 2024 article. Everything else was like from 2014.
Wow.
I notice whenever I look up topics, sometimes I find that it was very popular 10 years ago at one specific time frame, like 2016 between March and June.
Yeah.
And everyone wrote the same things. It's like, what was happening in the world? Because we come across that a lot, and then I never find modern versions. So I'm glad somebody wrote a modern day. I'm not going to read the article, but I will use the titles. First off, have 50-page panels. Just Alan Moore wrote this.
Oh, okay. That's a little low then.
No, but this actually starts off with just the breakdown of comics. Like I said, I'm not going to read this because when the font is so small, and Alan Moore is the first thing mentioned, so hope he's not the inspiration for this. Probably is. So first off, it just breaks down what is a panel. You know what a panel is. It's a still image.
Still image.
It's an image with some art and maybe a word balloon or not, or dialogue or not. But it's basically just a page, and then on the page is a smaller page, quote unquote. I'm just making that up. But it's just an image within the grander scheme. Okay. Not like a splash page, which is just a giant page. If you don't know what a comic book is, we're not the guys to just break it down completely. Like, come on.
At least not this episode.
Come on.
That's not what this episode's about.
Could be, depending on how bad we are at our job. Wow, I'm pretty good.
Yeah?
The first thing is an inset in a panel contained within a larger panel.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Window in a window. A bleed panel is where the art extends or bleeds off the edge of the page on one or more sides. I like that.
Yeah, when it's not actually in like the old schooly kind of boxes, you know, depending on artist style and stuff, that varies.
Yeah, now, I know I watched a documentary on this. You might even send it to me a long time ago about who... Was it Todd McFarlane? No, it wasn't McFarlane. It had to be before him. But the person who... I said it to you a long time ago. It was the guy who broke the mold of, like, splash pages and just, like, panels in general and made, like, real action panels that were written and drawn completely different from the time period and is, like, what created modern comics. Who the fuck was that guy? Oh, it's going to drive me nuts. It was like an hour-long documentary I watched. It was years ago I watched it. It was really good, though. I feel like I sent it to Mike or somebody, too. Maybe. Like, I can't remember.
Fuck.
It might not have been an hour, but it was like a decent length.
Yeah, I do. No, yeah, fuck. It wasn't some, like, big-name guy.
No, he didn't get, like, super famous, but, like, I remember using an example from one of, like, I don't think it was... like a full comic, just like a short or something, maybe, and then it was like a sci-fi thing or something. But it was just like him, like the guy's beginnings and how it was the way he used his art to tell a story that hadn't been done before, and then that pretty much shaped modern comics. That's gonna fucking piss me off because as soon as we get off air,
that's what. Because I remember too, because I now remember that because I remember that guy also had like a Ninja Turtle video that I watched after that.
The guy who did the channel.
The guy who did the video on what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, folks, if you can extrapolate a fucking YouTube video off of that awful description
from years ago,
more power to you. But that was a really good video anyway. Splash page, very large page of art. A double page spread is a giant splash panel covering two facing pages. So we got that down. Next up is lettering. That's just the letters. Use letters, sometimes bold letters to emphasize, it could be onomatopoeia like bam, biff, bop, or it could just be your bolding. People do this in fiction too. He spilled blood all over the floor, and blood's in bold because it's, whatever, or in red or something like that. Large lettering in dialogue represents shouting. That's one some people don't know. Small lettering in dialogue usually represents whispering. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I never really noticed, I guess.
That's something I've been seeing more in comics recently, is that, or like a whispering, or like, somebody's talking and, it's like somebody's saying something underneath their breath. So yeah, like whispering or just talking very low.
Next up is word balloon, US, or bubble in UK. What do you go with? You a balloon or a bubble?
Balloon, I think.
You're a balloon. Well, what is it? You a word balloon or are you a bubble guy?
I think balloon. I think anytime I mention it, I say balloon.
All right. Usually it's a white. I mean, obviously, depending on your character, sometimes they can be black if they're evil. But usually it's just a white bubble or balloon that goes by their head with their dialogue, or sometimes even their thoughts, maybe. But usually it's dialogue, unless it's a thought balloon, which is like cloud-like usually.
And even that now, normally they would just square like almost like if you had like a narrator, but it would also be like, 'cause sometimes it's difficult to be like, is this a narrator or is this a character's thoughts?
I like the old thought balloon is like broken up little circles.
Right. Another thing with the wood balloons, we were talking about the coloring. So a few years ago, DC created this new evil version of the Batman who laughs, and his word balloons were black with red lettering. Fucking sucked to read though.
Oh, it was hard to read.
It was pretty difficult to read at sometimes, especially like if it was very wordy, like it was like if it was a lot, it was just something weird with those colors together. It would make it a little difficult to read.
Font choices matter too, because I think that John Constantine book we read for book club one night, if I'm not mistaken, I think some of the fonts were fucking with me in that. Maybe.
Yeah.
Also, like I think Deadpool, doesn't he use like yellow balloons because he breaks the fourth wall, so he's like out of.
Well, yeah, and I think that's just. I forget. Yeah, his word balloons were released yellow, and I don't know if that was because he was breaking the wall, or if it was just like these is just like he's Deadpool, so he has yellow. I can't remember why.
I always thought it was because he was like different than everyone else.
Maybe. I mean, it's not the devil. He's a very retconned character.
Next up is caption. This might be what you were talking about, kind of a tool used for narration, transitional text such as meanwhile, or off-panel dialogue. Captions usually have rectangular borders, but they can also be borderless or floating letters. So,
like I said, so they use it sometimes for that, or they use that for the person's like inner monologue or thoughts or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go ahead and rush through the rest of these because this is about script writing, not what we're talking about. Yeah, like I mean, it's cool. But it's hard for us to talk about because this has like pictures and stuff. It's better to actually see these kind of things. So next up is like sound effects, like I said, with like the biffs and the pals and crash and stuff like that. It'd be fun to do an episode on this and then an episode on mangas and the differences. Borders, obviously there's border lines. There's the gutter, which is like the spaces between panels and around panels. Okay, here we go. Storyboard your comic book script outline. Writing a comic book script without storyboarding the outline is like going hiking without a map, Spencer. You want to do that?
I don't want to go hiking, period. With or without a map.
What Neil Gaiman does, which we saw in his masterclass, is he actually draws the comic himself, real
stick figure, just to try to get the pacing down.
The way he gets the pacing and what needs to be action and what needs to be, just with the script. And I don't remember if he does the drawing at the same time or if he draws first and writes the script after. I don't remember what order he does it in, but regardless, he actually writes out, like draws out I would recommend anyone do that if you're doing comics. Is like, even if you have an artist, just be like, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and like just shittily sketch just what my basic panels might be, or whatnot. But yeah, storyboarding your comic book helps you nail down the storyline and key plot points. I think you brought up the biggest point is the pacing.
Yeah,
because the way you write a script for anything, the timing is so much more important than, say, a novel or even a short story, because the timing for a comic book script is like you have a very limited page count.
Well, not only that, but you have to think of this. The pacing is, you have to have it set up in a way so where does it happen on the page?
Yeah.
Page turns, because you want to like set something up and then be like, oh, what is that? And you turn the page for the big reveal. Where does that happen on the page? Or does because like that's a big issue with trying to figure out like where their ads are gonna be. Like that's something you have to factor in. If the ads are gonna mess up the flow of the story, or when you're gonna have a page reveal and stuff like that. So that's a whole nother can of worms you got to look into with that.
That also gets tricky with like when they put them into trade format too, because it's usually bigger and they don't have ads.
Right.
So that could affect it. And then also it's like, hey, I want to turn it and have it go into a splash page. That's the big reveal. But depending on like the page count of a trade, if it's like older because they add different art and stuff in the back, you might have like, here's the page, and then just the next direct page is like your splash page or something. You'd have to find a way to add like a spacer or something.
Well, I found like I've come across trades to where like I'd be reading it, and in one of the pages there would just be like a blank thing, just like a red page or black, just like a blank page, and then it would just go in, and they use that as to kind of like set it up a little bit better, I guess.
Good idea.
But it sucks though because you paid for that fucking page that has nothing on it.
Yeah, just a waste of space. All right, now this is according to like Stan Lee and some of the older comic book creators, but this was the basic setup for script writing, at least in the old days. I don't know what like modern comic people, if they still follow, but it would be beneficial, especially if you're starting out, to follow this style. which would be a 3-act structure.
Mm-hmm.
And this could even be good just for like story writing in general until you get the hang of writing, to be able to be proficient in adding different plot elements and experimental elements and whatnot. So the first one, Act 1, the setup. Some people call this the inciting incident. The alliterative treat is the fancy name for the moment when the story's set in motion. So usually, as in fiction writing, where it's usually better nowadays to start a story with a bang or something that catches the reader. Same with comics. I've read comics, usually older comics, where it's like even the whole issue is just like build up for something. You're like, this is fucking boring. I don't want to read any more of this because nothing happens.
Yeah.
Like you want to catch them quick. So that's usually what you do in the setup. Maybe somebody gets killed, there's a robbery, there's a burglary, there's a red herring, like
something gets stolen,
yeah,
or murdered.
You could throw in something where Poison Ivy killed somebody, but it turns out it's not even her. You could do all kinds of stuff. Act 2, the conflict, where your character starts going through big changes. The pros call it character arc. Spencer, just so you know.
Character arc.
As a result of what's happening. So yeah, the conflict is where the fun stuff usually happens. And then Act 3, which is usually the disappointing bit, the climax. It's a big, exciting moment, and then after that, you're just like, I'm petered out.
Post-comic book clarity.
Yeah, so that's the resolution. If you are not good at the climax, people are going to be disappointed, and if you do too much after the climax, they might get annoyed.
Yeah.
I've had some personal friends of mine who've written work where the only negative reviews were that they did too much after the climax. Should have ended it sooner. I've heard that before. I always worry that I will fall into that, so I usually not end the story at the climax, but fairly quickly after. But I could see what happens to him after?
And that's the tricky thing with comics is because of just the monthly output and thing. We've talked about this before at the comic book store, and just in general, it's one of the problems with like comic books is they're all middle, because you get a little bit of the beginning depending on what it is, and then it's mostly middle, but you can't ever tell that end story.
No.
You
have to keep it going.
You have to keep it going. And if you do it, it's in like an offshoot elsewhere, like miniseries of one shot that doesn't really count, but it's all middle, so that's where the creativity comes in with the storytelling in this medium.
I think that's why my favorite comic series usually aren't superhero related. They're just stories that are contained within, even if it's like 12 volumes, but it does have an end.
Yeah.
I usually appreciate those because I like a conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
If you're reading Spider-Man for 50 years, are you ever going to get a real conclusion? Probably not.
No.
If you do, he's just going to be miserable because they're going to do awful things to the poor guy. Can we give Spider testy cancer that no one else would ever have? Why not?
Well, if you have a moment, there's a story called Spider-Man Reign, and it's supposed to kind of be like the Dark Knight of the Spider-Man. He's all old and retired and brittle, and he's all upset because Mary Jane died.
From his radioactive semen.
Yes.
That's the coming-of-age tale that we've all gone through. All semen's radioactive, be honest. Does things to people that's bad.
Changes people.
It changes people. I'm beginning to think this board is actually, I don't know if it's an app or something. I keep seeing a bunch of ads they have on here. The easiest way to storyboard your comic book script. So I don't know if it's just more articles or if they're actually like...
Have like a template or something.
Yeah, which would be cool. Like those are beneficial. Actually, I bought a couple of those. I think I gave you ones, like a pre-made, like you could just draw your own comic in it.
I remember you showing me them, yeah. I think you did maybe give me one.
I think I did.
Especially to beginning, if you're starting out till you get a more handle on it.
It had all the panels and stuff. Obviously, that means you can't do your own layouts or anything. But just to like get a feel for it.
Right.
Now this goes into like the Marvel style of scripts, full scripts, and way too much stuff. So I'm going to go back and actually look up one of the easier ones.
Well, I was going to say, while you do that, I can ramble a little bit on about... because I've listened to many interviews of writers and artists and stuff like that, and one of the best ways that I've like heard in this process be conveyed at is it's like the writer is basically writing a letter to the artist of what's gonna be in this issue, and some people would do the crazy detailed panel layout stuff. Some people would just be like, this is what I want to happen on these pages. You do however you want to do. If you come up with a better way to tell that, to convey that idea with more panels, less panels, you'd be like, you're the artist, so I leave that up to you and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of varies from creative team to creative team a lot of times.
Going with what you were saying, if you want to, most the things like Watchmen, for instance, like some of the most famous and convoluted scripts, you could just look up online for free and read.
Yeah.
So you could get those examples, because I did that before when I was writing comic book scripts, or at least trying my hand at it. Like I was reading some Alan Moore ones, and then I went and read some Neil Gaiman ones, and then even some like Jeff Lemire, and it's just like amazing.
The difference.
Yeah, and I really appreciate like the more simple ones.
There's not like a wrong one. I can say a lot of artists or writers will have, like, if they have like a Patreon or a Substack account or whatever, will have like scripts as like a part of like a tier, will give you access to scripts and stuff. Because even people who don't necessarily want to get into the business just are kind of fascinated on, like, that it's just an interesting thing to check out.
Well, here's a generic comic script, and this is close to the style I was writing comic scripts at. Page 1, panel number 1. Wide shot of Hank walking into a long hallway lit only by his flashlight. Hank is framed slightly off-centered. And again, this goes into you're telling the artist how you want it set up. A storm can be seen outside through the window. The power is out in the house. Panel number 2. Close-up of a broken dump truck on the floor with Hank's feet shown in the background, walking towards the truck. Hank, what is this? Panel number 3, same shot as number 2, as Hank picks up, and then it goes on, And then there's also notes that you can leave too. So this one note, next time will be your car. I don't know. But let me see if I can find a good, let's see if we can find Watchmen. Because it's fucking crazy.
Like I said, and a lot of times, like, writers would be like, this is what I'm writing this down. This is kind of like what I see in my head. But if you come up with like, I have 5 panels on this page to convey, but if you can do it in 3 or something, like, you know what I mean? Or even if it's more, whatever, as long as, And that's the one thing I really like about comics is the collaboration between multiple people to get it done.
Yeah, I this is ridiculous. I don't even know if I could do this.
And this is probably just going to be panel 1.
It is. Watchmen issue 1, at midnight, all the agents, 26 pages, Alan Moore. Page 1, panel 1. All right, I'm psyched up. I got blood up to my elbows. I'm going to stop reading there, because I could show you, Spencer, that is a full page.
For just one panel.
That's just one panel, and it's just a giant block of capitalized text.
That's like, I always feel bad for the artist Dave Gibson, I'm pretty sure is his name.
Yeah.
For having to just deal with that. That's why, like, a lot of times, like, with all the movies and stuff, Alan Moore is very anti that and just normally gives his paycheck or royalties or whatever to the artist. And it's like, good, he deserves it. Like,
yeah.
Because whatever he made off that book was not enough.
Oh, man, that's terrible. Let me see if I could...
Because could you imagine just trying to read that? Because you have to read it multiple times. To just figure out all what you need to do to put in this first panel of 9, most likely 9 panels on this one page.
It's too goddamn much. Here, this might be, if I could find this. This might be more tolerable. Of course not. Nope, that's still fucking Watchmen. I was trying to look up Alan Moore's script for Swamp Thing, because I remember it being more normal. I can't find one. I was reading when he used to do those Future Shocks. For, was it 2080?
Yeah.
Because that's what I was writing scripts for. I wanted to see if I could come up with one of those. I forget what the...
They were doing like a contest or like a talent search or something, right?
No, they always take... well, at the time, they always took in submissions certain times a year. But the catch was Future Shock, if I remember correctly, it was only like a page or 2 script, and you had to be able to tell a complete story with a twist ending in that time. And I was like, how the fuck that's impossible. But then Alan Moore, you read his and they were like amazing. So let me see if I could read one of those, because those are actually pretty small.
Yeah, because those are all like anthologies, so you don't get much room to work in those.
No. Again, it just wants to show you the script. Why is everything poop shit on the internet now?
Poop shit.
It's because everybody sues everybody, so they take off all the free stuff that used to be on there.
Happened to us. We're not sued, but
Close.
yeah.
Threatened.
Fucking asshole.
Yeah, fuck the Dutch. Fucking Dutch ass. Apparently that's something Dutch people love doing, is just suing for dumb shit. Like they purposely will set up like, oh, I put a picture on the internet and I have it so if anyone ever uses it, even though it's widely available, I can sue them even though they have no idea that it's, not to be used.
Doesn't sound very Dutch-like, does it?
Why?
I don't know. I thought like the Dutch were always kind of like,
Weren't the Dutch the creators of the slave trade?
Oh, I don't know.
I believe so. So maybe fuck the Dutch.
Maybe fuck the Dutch. Maybe is it like the Swedens? Are the Swedens nice?
Swedes are probably cool.
Are they close together? No,
I don't think so.
I don't know. Once you start getting over in that Eastern European kind of like,
now you're into Russia.
They're all like, I don't know.
You're thinking of Northern Europe.
Oh,
Finland, Iceland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark. Well, what the fuck are the Dutch? The Netherlands.
The Netherlands.
That's that weird itty bitty fucking nutsack that hangs below the Finlands and the Norways, and it's like in the mix, but it doesn't count.
It's just dangling.
All I know is Amsterdam apparently is the place to be. That's probably why I think they're cool, because of the legal drugs and whores, hookers. I don't think I'm gonna have any success in finding anything that I want to find on the internet, because now I'm on Reddit, and you know how fucking that goes.
Reddit.
Jesus. Reddit's always
how many comments until it gets racist?
The title. The one time I don't want to see the actual comics, and it's just always giving me, is the free comics, which are fun to read. Like I would recommend checking them out, because I think, like I said, I think they're like a page or two long. It doesn't matter, but yeah, you could look up a bunch of scripts, and they're really interesting. They're fun to read because it's almost like a behind the scenes look. I actually thought about starting to read some of like the Quentin Tarantino movie scripts.
Oh yeah, that'd probably be interesting.
Because after reading Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, his novel, I'm like, I wonder how different this is from the script. And
or the screenplay or whatever.
The screenplay, it's the same thing. Well, I don't know. Yeah,
is there a difference between a screenplay and the actual script?
I think the script's cut down to just the scenes like the actors are in. I don't think it would be like a script is not going to be the whole screenplay. Like I would imagine there's multiple scripts. So it's like, hey, we're filming this scene today. Here's the script. And
okay, yeah.
It's not gonna be like, here's the whole screenplay. Find the spot.
Yeah.
Memorize your lines for the whole movie. No, it's not gonna be like that. Maybe talking about my ass. Maybe it is that fucking stupid. I don't know.
It is Hollywood.
Now we haven't talked about this in years since our failed comic book endeavor.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about going back and writing a comic book script?
It has been something, not that I've actively thought of it as in like trying to come up with like an idea really, but it is like, it's always kind of in there as like, when I'm writing a lot of my stories, it's like, I'd be like, oh, I would wonder what this would be like as as like a graphic novel or a one shot or, whatever, depending on the length of the story.
Do you think you would enjoy writing comics more than normal fiction, prose?
I think once I would figure out my process, I think I would, because even at the very beginning, like I think that was always kind of like the ultimate goal, like novel, short stories, that's really nice and stuff like that. I think it's always kind of like, but then if I could use that away to get into, even if it's not someplace necessarily like a Marvel or DC, but even if it's like, you'd want to do something to like Image or Boom or something, it's like, this is my first book, my first comic, but I've got this other work.
Yeah.
And hopefully maybe we'll have like a little bit of a fan base that can, get brought in, plus whatever, with the promotion and stuff like that.
Well, whenever I read like your rough drafts of your stories, I always think that your mind seems geared towards, because they read almost like how you would write a comic.
Yeah.
Like the action and the way this goes into this and then that goes. It's not necessarily a focus on the language and the flow of the story in that way. It's always, to me, like visual.
Yeah, so I could see that, yeah.
So you're almost writing more in a visual sense that I think would just be like perfect for comics. That's why I bring it up. So you probably should try your hand at, like, maybe use one of those script templates, just like, okay, panel 1.
Right.
And then not maybe... You could, if you could find that fucking thing. I think I gave you that one just to like try or you could just use paper.
Right.
Just try like sketch out a quick thing just to get the flow, but like just focus on like, okay, because at that point you're not actually writing. Because even screenplays, like there's blocks of like descriptive texts that are almost like a novel or something. Comic books generally aren't like that, the scripts. So you could just be like, he gets in here and then he stabs the guy in the neck and the blood squirt, and you're just describing things in a basic form. So you don't have to actually focus on the language so much, because now you're focusing more on how the artist is going to draw that.
And then, because a lot of times what will happen there too is like the artist will have a script, or, the writer will write a script, the artist will draw that script, it gets synced or whatever. And a lot of times after it's done, the writer will go over it and might even change things a lot, because it'd be like, oh, he drew him this way or something, or the look that the character has or something, reflects this is a little bit, or maybe I don't have to say this because the artist did such a good job of conveying that feeling within the art.
You could cut it.
So maybe I don't even have to say this at all. Like, you know what I mean? And then that kind of stuff, which again is like one of the things I like so much about, the comic medium, in general.
It's too bad we don't have a buddy that's like an amazing comic, well, not an artist, a comic book artist, and would like to do that you could just like work with, and then you could just develop like they suck at the writing,
right?
And then you could just be the tag, because I can't do that because I'm not that good at art either.
No,
like I'm not good enough for and so I wouldn't be able to put out if I could put out like a what was it, Cowboy Ninja Viking, like that kind of art, like something that's like it's not like amazing, Or even like some of those like Jeff Lemire books where it's like mainly the story's the focus, so the art's a little cartoony and wonky. I could probably like with work could manage that, but it would not be something I would enjoy.
But then it's with that, especially like you mentioned Jeff Lemire, it's something so weird about like his writing and his art, especially when they're together. And you're just like, you think like it's not very detailed, but then it ends up becoming like weirdly detailed in a weird like abstract kind of way.
It's one of those things that looks like it would be easy to draw, but not.
No, yeah, you'd be like, oh yeah, this is fucking simple, and then you try to do it yourself, and you're like, how does he make it look so easy or so simple?
Yeah. Well, I think that's the topic is dried up.
Yeah.
Dried up like your hoo-ha.
That inkwell is dry.
That's more classy than what I said. I said hoo-ha. That's a vagina. You don't even have one of those, probably.
No.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of, Caleb, make sure you don't forget to read the book club book for the end of this week.
I really don't want to read that. I'm just so sick of fucking politics. Why do we have a political book?
It can think conspiracy theory, but yeah, it gets very political.
I'm going to go ahead and put the disclaimer now, because that's definitely going to be after the outro discussion and all that stuff we just had. I think that was too long. So if you're listening right now, I am splicing this in such a way that Spencer and my conversation about our book club will be after the outro music. So
a little extra.
It'll be an extra since we don't have a Patreon. So after the outro music, make sure to stick around if you want to hear us talk about our book club for an excessive amount of time.
For no reason.
For no reason. Lots of grievances. Anyway, if you want to follow us on social media, we are on X, we are on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at DBW Podcast. Spencer's OnlyFans this week. He is the Lancaster lesbian lady.
No.
Labia.
No.
Lady Lock.
No.
Lube.
No.
What are you licking?
Lead.
These are the lesbian lead lickers. Licking lead lesbians. That's the new,
I'm saying we are by Pittsburgh.
That's the new name for those real butch ladies with the mustaches. They're lead ladies. Coining that now. It's Pride Month. There's nothing wrong with that. The fact that they're letting you lick on them, that's something. Do they got your consent, or are you sneaking up?
Oh, I always get consent.
That's good. That's good. You make them sign waivers. Yeah, that's definitely get the waivers. Fuck. CalebJamesK.com. If you want to check out my work and publication history, I got a new book coming out. Not a book. I'm in a book. It's not my book, but I'm in an anthology, readings from Curse Room 301, that's coming out next month. So keep an eye out for that. The House of Shit. It's my story. We've talked about it.
Shit.
Whoa. That was harsh. So anyway, like I said, stick around after the outro music for our discussion on the book club that nobody will care about, except for probably Mike, because he's actually in the book club, and everyone else who be like, what the fuck are they talking about? Pizza? Why do you bring up pizza so much? Anyway, thanks for listening. We'll check you out next week. What was our last book club book? I didn't like the Constantine book we did. I think it was a couple months ago. What was the last one?
The last one was shit. I Hate Fairyland.
Okay, that one was okay. So I was gonna say, if I hated last month and I hate this month, I might have to drop out because I can't keep fucking buying $20 books or $15 books and not liking them at all.
I'm getting a little upset because like I've been making some suggestions that I thought people would like. Like there's this, it just ended too, so it'd be a good time to start it. It's called Firepower, Kung Fu story. Yeah. Then they shoot fireballs at each other with Kung Fu fighting. Like people would really like, I think would really like to read that.
I would probably be the only one that would want this because it would foster a good discussion. But our group is not the one to have good discussions on the book generally.
No,
unless the book sucks.
Yeah. There's like if the book's really good, it doesn't get talked about that much. But if it's fucking terrible or awful, and it gets more time.
But if I was able to pick, and I could judge this because we did do Watchmen one time, which I didn't have to read because I already read it. But there was a couple people that were really excited and actually did, like, prepared and wanted to talk about it. But then like didn't fall on deaf ears. But it's just what the group just people don't want to talk that much. But I would like deeper, not necessarily Watchmen level, like literary style, but I would like deeper books because like the Fairyland book was fun, but it's very one dimensional. A lot of the books we end up reading are kind of just like, oh, that was kind of fun.
Or it's like it's the first volume within a series. Yeah. So even though that the first volume, like that initial story might be kind of wrapped up or whatever, but it's not like enough.
Doesn't deep dive.
Yeah, like the dark ride with like the horror theme park.
Yeah.
But like now, like because like it's over, and I'm sure here soon they probably would put in a big 12-issue collection. I'm sure like if you read that, you'd probably enjoy it more rather than reading that first trade that only had like 4 issues in it or something.
Yeah, if we could do something that was like just a complete one shot, that would be probably better. But I don't know. I get tired of just kind of like, to sound as douchey as possible, like a sophomore conversation where the book's maybe 5-minute discussion. Yeah. And for some reason, we always wait till we get the pizza.
Well, I was going to say, that's the thing, too. Like, we've kind of lost our structure.
There's no structure. Well, like I said, we always talk about the book after we get the pizza, and then we're eating, and like, that's a horrible time. We should talk to it while we're waiting for the pizza. Yeah. I don't know why it's the pizza should be like, oh, now the pizza, and now we go to the free-for-all conversation.
Maybe we'll have to start taking more control of the book club and like trying to steal the conversations more and stuff.
Well, we always have like conversations like groups. It's almost like it's a big table, but it's like cliques. It's weird.
Yeah,
it's like you
end up talking to like whoever you're next to, basically.
Yeah, and it's just it's a little rough with that, but we usually don't end up talking about the book much, and when we do, it's usually just I like this part and I didn't like this part, and it's just like a lot of free for all, and there's no structure, like you said. And I think I'm getting bored of that. It's like, I like talking to like Mike and stuff and, Christina and Chuck and everybody. But I just get a little tired of just like, well, I came here to actually have a
conversation.
Yeah, I don't just want to talk about Doctor Who socks or Star Wars.
Right.
Nothing but lesbians. And like, I don't care about
space
lesbians or, the last episode of The Witcher, if that's even a thing anymore. It was great. I don't know. I just like that stuff's fine. But like I said, that could be the after pizza talk.
Yeah. Yeah,
like, we have like an hour where we just sit there just fucking talking about nonsense until the pizza comes. Like,
I think what else is kind of hurt too is like we got a couple new people, but like there's kind of like a core, and we don't get much change out of that. No. Which sometimes I think like having some other people or something would maybe but then I feel like those new people just kind of sit there because they just don't. They may feel a little overwhelmed by everybody else there because it gets to the point where like sometimes two people are just hollering over each other, just trying to get a joke in over somebody or something.
Yeah, It's evolved into a lot of yucks.
Yeah.
It's it's also one of those things too where it's almost like an introverted group. Like most of us are probably introverts, but then we get together to discuss books, and then we're all have the same interest in things. So then that expands to a lot of just you get excited because you're finally around people that like the things you like, which for comic book fans is usually not as prevalent outside of the comic shop or that kind of group, unless you just happen to have a lot of friends. I don't, or you don't.
No.
So you get there and you get super excited that you can actually be like, oh, if I talk about this random obscure thing, they're gonna know. Somebody's gonna know.
They're gonna get the reference. They're gonna get the reference.
So everybody kind of goes off the rails, but it's like been years.
Yeah,
we've been doing this for years. We had more productive talks when we were drinking more.
Yeah,
when everyone was drinking whiskey and stuff.
When everybody was drinking, and then I think there's definitely, you can tell the difference between the post and pre-COVID break.
Yeah,
because we had to stop for a few months with the whole COVID thing.
It was a good while, and then there was also like a drop off in the amount because we used to get like a lot more people.
Yeah,
and we still get a good bit, but we used to have like a lot. I think we even needed almost a second table at one point.
Mm-hmm. We had he brought out the longer tables.
Yeah.
Well, again, like I said, like, because some of those people that we had, like, there was like Nate and a couple other people that were really good with trying to have, conversations with, and like they moved or just stopped going or, something. And so when you lose some of those people sometimes.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just more of a social gathering at this point.
Pretty much.
And the book is just a loose tying theme, like it just cohesion.
Yeah,
it's like a cohesion tool, but it's not. I joined because I wanted a book club, like I wanted to discuss books. Like we wanted to do a DPW book club, but it's like we don't got fucking time.
Oh, and then how would we do that?
Well, I got this fancy studio, but
yeah,
Mike would come over probably.
Mike would come down.
Everyone else lives far away.
Depends. Sometimes Mike is in Blonnox.
He's in where?
Blonnox?
Blarnox.
Blonnox? I don't know.
Is that a town, a city, a state, a country?
Yeah, it's like here. It's here in Pennsylvania. It's
a tribe.
It might be a tribe.
A village. Is that up by Saskatchewan somewhere? Blarnox? I'm from Pennsylvania. I never heard of Blarnox.
We'll have to. We'll ask him again on Friday.
Are you from Blarnox? Mike?
It's not where he's from. I think that's where the lady friend is located
Blarnox. I'm from Braddock, you asshole. No, Blarnox. The scent of mildew and decay hangs heavy in the air. A forgotten basement, a creaking floorboard. Then, a horrifying discovery. This is just a taste of the terrors that await within ethereal nightmares, an anthology of twisted tales. 12 unsettling tales penned by diverse authors plunge you into a darkness that preys on your deepest fears. Desperation breeds nightmares, driving characters to unthinkable choices. From forgotten tunnels to desolate wastelands, the veneer of normalcy crumbles, blurring the lines between sanity and madness. Will you confront creatures from beyond the veil? Will you fight for your life against ancient evils? Ethereal Nightmares dares you to face the abyss. Are you brave enough to enter? Ethereal Nightmares. You can buy it on Amazon and darkhomepublishing.uk.
We all know the Stairway to Heaven solo is a no-no. Well, here's what I think is a yes. Hi, Drunken Pen listeners. This is Bryce Yoli, host of Arcade Bookshop, where I'm always alongside your Drunken Pen host, Caleb James. I have a book through an actual publisher. Airplane Graveyard is poetry. If you love Drunken Pen, you probably love to read and write. I'd adore it if you gave Airplane Graveyard a try. You can find it for pre-order right now at finishinglinepress.com. Just search my name, Bryce Yoli. That's JOHLE. Or the title, Airplane Graveyard. Pre-order before July 19th, and you'll get $2 off the typical list price. Read my poetry, and never have to listen to me butcher Stairway to Heaven again.